Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us as we get ever closer to Vermont Town Meeting Day. Perhaps one of the stranger town meeting days we've had given the pandemic. And we've got a number of shows coming up. This is actually the first one talking to candidates involved in contested races in St. Albans and Swanton on Town Meeting Day. And the situation in Swanton, I've been kicking around Franklin County for about 45 years, and I'm not sure I've ever run into this before. 5-member Swanton Selectboard. There are 4 contested races, 4 seats at stake, with contests in those 4 seats. I think a very unusual situation. In any case, very happy to have 3 candidates running for a 1-year term. I hope I have the number of years right. Select Board member Nicole Draper. Nicole, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
And we are talking running for a 1-year term.
Correct.
Frank Shumway, another candidate for the 1-way term. Frank, good to see you.
Hi.
And Harold Garrett, the 3rd candidate in this particular race for the 1-year term. And again, Nicole, have you? I've got a few years on you, many years on you, but again, I don't remember 4 contested seats in a town, certainly not in Swanton, a pretty unusual situation.
That's so I've heard, sir. This is a very, very new year for Swanton.
Right. And again, of the 3 candidates, you're the 1 member of the Select Board right now, 1 incumbent, having been appointed and running up for election for the first time.
Yes, this is my first time. I was appointed to the Select Board in August of 2020.
And whose seat did you fill?
I believe I filled Gary Centabar's seat.
Gary Centabar. I mean, there's just been a significant turnover on the board.
It's been a challenging year for many, and but I was very honored to be able to step up and be appointed and serve the town of Swanton.
Very good. Tell us, give us some background, Nicole. Tell us about yourself.
I am fairly new to Swanton. I moved here about 6 years ago to raise my family. I have 3 children. We bought our forever home a few years back out on West Swanton, and I've fallen in love. Since we moved here, I've spent a lot of time volunteering in the community. I'm currently the program director for Swanton Recreation. I'm also a board member on the Chamber of Commerce, and I really love being involved in Swanton. So.
Are you out on Hog Island, in fact?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my old neighborhood. I logged about 5 years out there long ago. Nice part of the world.
It's a very, very nice part of the world.
Interesting. Frank Shumway. Frank, give us some background on yourself.
Well, I am new to politics. The Select Board presented itself, and a few people encouraged me to run for the board, and I felt that on reflecting on the whole thing, I thought that it might be a right time in my life to contribute and give back to the community. And I have been associated with Swanton since the early 60s. I've lived in the village since 1979, and I've run my landscaping business there since 1979, and we're going into our 42nd season.
Wow, that's impressive.
So we're hanging in there and still plugging away. I also spent 29 years in the military with some overseas service. I have a degree in natural resources and horticulture. And I feel that I have enough experience where I can contribute to the town.
Have you served on any town boards or anything?
No, I haven't. I worked with the beautification, Swanton Beautification Program, arranging the street plantings and getting trees and planting them for the beautification program. And that's pretty much the extent that I've had, and so that's why I feel my time is right for getting more involved with the town.
Very good. Harold Garrett. Harold, you're a former Select Board member, are you not?
I am. Thank you, Richard. Yes, I am a former Select Board member. I served on the Swanton Town Selectboard for 12 years. I was a chairman for 7. I moved to Swanton 40 years ago. And raised my family here, and my children all went to the elementary school in Missisquoi and went on to college, and now 3 are in the area, 1 is in Idaho. I started out being involved with the town of Swanton in 1993, serving on the planning commission for 8 years. From there, I moved to the select board, served 12 years there. I was the chairman for 7. Was on the Chamber of Commerce. I was their president. Right now, I've served the town of Swanton on the Transportation Advisory Committee and also on the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. I've been on the Northwest Regional Planning Commission since 2002. I'm their treasurer, have been their treasurer since 2005, so I oversee their millions of dollars of budget. I sign all the checks. On the Transportation Advisory Committee, I'm the chairman there for representing Franklin County and Grand Isle County. We meet monthly and meet with the state. I've been on the BCA board. I've been a justice of the peace. I'm on the project review committee. I'm on the energy committee. So I've pretty much done pretty near everything there is to do in the town of Swanton, except for being the town clerk and the lister.
Interesting. And you also, you might have mentioned there's a lot of stuff to mention, former road foreman for the town.
I was a road foreman for the town. That's when I got off the Swanton Select Board. The Select Board encouraged me to get off if I was going to be the road foreman. So they encouraged me not to run.
That's right.
And that's why I didn't get run that year. For me to be the road foreman, they didn't want me to be the.
Saw that as a conflict of interest, I assume, or
It's not a conflict of interest, but
you didn't think so?
They thought it might be, to the voters, it might look like I was.
Interesting. I did get a call from a Swanton resident who just said, "Hey, please ask Mr. Garrett about when he was road foreman. I guess a tenure that ended in some controversy, and he just wanted probably wasn't one of your biggest fans, but just wanted your reaction to how that job particularly ended, if you had any comments."
I don't have a lot of comments on that because the way that it ended was I'll just leave it that way. They didn't really like the way it did business.
Okay. Do you feel if you're elected, that's behind you, and that wouldn't give you any problems being a select board member?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Being a road foreman and being on the select board are completely 2 different jobs.
Okay. Nicole, biggest challenge as you see Swanton? Again, you've been on the board for a number of months. What's the biggest challenge facing the town at this point, would you say? Anything particularly jumping out, or challenges?
That's a very interesting question,
That's tough.
something that I pondered quite a few times.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't see it as challenges. I see there's so much room for opportunity. And I feel that Swanton is in a position that we can make some great choices to really grow and develop in Swanton. But I think one of the things that a lot of the people in town feel is that they're not being heard. So building a really strong line of communication with the taxpayer base is something that I think both municipalities in Swanton really need to hone in on, and we're working really hard at doing so.
Yeah. Frank is a longtime observer of what goes on in the town. Any particular challenge that kind of jumps into your mind that the town's facing?
Well, there are problems that are easy to find. I know in the village, the traffic situation is a challenge, and they did several studies and came up with some proposals as far as the flow of traffic. But I think there's like 2,500 tractor trailers that go through the center of Village
Yeah.
every day, and you take your life in your hands when you go into the post office. I mean, it's a glaring issue. I think trying to get more people involved with the village and the town, it's hard. Everybody has their busy lives, and it's hard to do, but this should be, I feel, maybe more interest. There's not as many, when you see the voter turnout or people involved with certain affairs, you always expect that there maybe, it could have been a better turnout, more people involved and interested in. And a lot of times, me personally, I found that I didn't know about certain events that may be happening. So maybe town and village would be better to get information out to people, make them more aware of events and happenings. And certainly social media has gone a long ways to help out with that and keep people informed. But Swan has so much potential, and now with the airport, perhaps getting some funding to expand and manufacturers to come in and airlines to bring in product. There's a lot of potential there, and if they can get the water and sewer hookups up there and able to get the money and funds to expand, it's a huge potential for Franklin County, and especially Swanton. Even though it's in Highgate, Swanton is, I consider it almost part of Swanton.
Not far from the Swanton border.
Well, that's correct.
Yeah.
And, of course, the sidewalks between the school and the town.
Yeah,
The
big
kids
issue.
are always walking along the road, and, you know, it's always been talked about, and I think it's probably going to happen, but it'd be nice for when that comes together.
Yeah. Harold, anything particularly jumping out, biggest challenge facing the town?
The biggest challenge facing the town is the realization that their downtown is probably not going to ever be any more than what it is right now. Maybe a few specialty shops, but viewing the new Ace store, you don't see the traffic in and out of there that you would really think that you would see out of there.
I assume you were happy to see the A store?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was happy to see the Ace store go in there, and at the time, I was hoping that maybe there would be a little more traction for some other businesses coming in, but I sat on the one of the committees that was studying revitalizing downtown years ago, and it hasn't gone anywhere. Like I said, I sat on the Development Review Board for the town of Swanton, and the Rexall building now is going to be empty because that's going into where the bank was. So the Spalding building will be empty, and if I had my vision of seeing what's going to be downtown is because I'm involved with the where the fitness center is in that building, and I can see buildings all being apartments before too long, because brick and mortar stores are going by the way. You can order whatever you want on Amazon and have it the next day with free of charge, and everybody's shopping. Years ago, everybody carried cash. Now everybody carries a credit card. They buy a coffee with a credit card. And I can remember when the malls first came in, and I'm sure Frank, you do, and Richard, you do. They were busy. They were the happening place, but even the malls are dying off.
Yeah. Again, as a former road foreman, the truck traffic, of course, a huge issue. When I'm in Swanton, I'm used to it. I used to live in West Swanton, of course, but just the truck traffic. Any hope? I guess some hope that they north of the border, when they construct the next leg of the kind of interstate like highway up towards Montreal, I guess there's maybe some hope that that might lessen the truck traffic, but gee, just no magical remedies there, I guess, huh?
No, there's no magical remedies. Like I said, sitting on the Transportation Advisory Committee and being involved with the town since 2000 on the Select Board, we've been waiting for 78 to be done. We spent 35 years getting the bridge.
Right.
We're 27 years right now into Route 78 being paved from Alberg Bridge into the town of Swanton,
Yeah.
and it still isn't finalized. The state of Vermont tells us at our transportation meetings that, yeah, it's a goal, but they had designed the animal crossing bridge out on, at Max Bend, but they had changed the rules on the Act 250 and the wetlands, and they couldn't meet what was being, the new rules that were there. So that got scrapped, so that put it back. The road was actually gonna go into the meadow and come out by the refuge. Well, that's been scrapped. So our hope is, and the people at the state of Vermont probably doesn't, and I shouldn't say anything because I work for AOT, but I said, we're 27 years in, so hopefully by 35 years in, we'll have the new road, but I don't see it happening in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, well, a struggle for sure. Nicole, as a select board member, how much is the pandemic ongoing? In fact, again, I should note, we're taping this show on Wednesday, February 10th. Just heard today that Franklin County, I think 20 new cases today, more than Chittenden County. Most in the state, things seem to be, at the moment, maybe going the wrong way in Franklin County. How much time has the select board been spending on the pandemic issues, or is there just, as you folks see it, not much you can do? How much of an issue has that been for the select board?
The challenge to meet in person is always there. We were very thankful to have the municipal complex for the village for meetings, although we have moved back to the town office.
So you are meeting in person these days?
We are meeting in person,
Okay.
yes, with the option of Zoom if need be. We ask that the public Zoom in. But as far as general issues with the pandemic, it's made, getting out there a little bit more difficult. I do know our economic development coordinator has been great at pushing out resources to local businesses and stuff like that. But in my mind, it's as challenging as the pandemic is, it's a way for us to think differently and out of the box that we normally wouldn't think. And I think we're really meeting that challenge.
How much of a hit in terms of, obviously, people who have lost their jobs, whatever, how much of a hit do you feel Swanton has taken from the pandemic? Do you think the town has hung in pretty well, or what's your sense of, we're almost a year into this?
I think our community has taken on lots of challenges. Being an entrepreneur and having my own small business prior to being the rec program director, I know myself personally, my business was hit very hard with the pandemic, and it made me review my career, and that's why I chose to fully serve the town of Swanton as the program director. But food insecurity is a huge issue in Swanton, and that just shows me how much our community is struggling right now. I know there are lots of people that are still searching for the right opportunity as far as employment goes.
Yeah. Frank, again, you've been in the landscaping business for decades. Out of curiosity, how's that affected your business? You've hung in okay?
The way I understand it, nationally and in the state, that the people in my trade have had a banner year.
They've done pretty well.
And I have had a very good year. People staying at home, thinking about their properties, wanting to invest money into their properties have been a boon for me. Although most of our jobs were laid on, a lot of them the year before, we've still got a good response from people this year.
That's good.
I'm not sure what the coming year is going to bring. I'm always a little leery and more of a conservative outlook, and if it comes out better than that,
Yeah.
so much.
But anecdotally, I'm sure you have, probably a number of people who have been indeed hurt by the pandemic, I assume, or not so much.
Not so much. Most of I know a lot of the people that are working home, out of their homes now, that have been affected by it, and the places they work, but it's been good for us.
Yeah. Harold, what's your sense? Do you think Swanton, every community in the country's obviously been affected by this to some extent. Have you got a feel, you think Swanton's in the ballpark with a lot of other places, or what's your sense about it, how Swanton has fared with this very difficult situation?
I was kind of wondering how it was, Richard, was faring until the first, because AOT was involved with the food giveaway at the airport, which
Right.
we were involved in. They had 2 or 3 tractor trailers full of food. People lined up to get that food at 4 o'clock in the morning. They opened the doors to let people start, I believe it was like 8 o'clock or something like that in that neighborhood. And at 10 o'clock, the tractor trailers were empty.
Wow.
It was all gone. We had people that were coming through the line that had said they had not been out of their houses in months
Wow.
since it started. And this was like in May, I believe it was, the first one. I was involved with another one in North Hero, and it was the same thing. People said they hadn't been out of their houses. They didn't dare to even go to the store. They had family members shopping for them. So this, the transportation committee, the transportation department was involved in a number of giveaways as far away as Lamoille at the high school up there. And every time it was completely unbelievable, the number of people that were showed up. That my business that I have, I've been there, this is my 33rd year. I haven't been affected by a lot. I'm not there as much as I usually were. But my business is, I still have the same customers that come all the time. But I believe that people are really struggling, and what I hear is like the taxes. I understand that taxes have to go up, but I live in a very modest home. It is valued at like $130,000, and my taxes went up over $200 last year. And
Of course, typically, maybe worth noting, typically on one's tax bill, about 3/4 is on the school side,
Yep,
about 1/4 on the municipal side.
I understand that. When I was on the select board, excuse me, we always had the school board come and present their budget. And we would go through the budget with them, and we'd ask why this, and this. And we couldn't change it, but the people knew what they were voting on when they, because they could, watch the meeting or come to the meeting. And that has gone by the wayside. The school boards don't come anymore. And so when you go to vote, you get a number. You have to, and I used to explain that to, I remember Julie Benet was the superintendent of schools back then, and I used to tell her, I said, Julie, you'd have to be a mathematician to figure out your budget that's in here. And you've got to make it simpler for people to understand what they're actually paying for. And
Well, unfortunately, education funding is, pretty convoluted trying to figure that out.
Yes, they, one year, and I'm sure you remember, they changed it for the special needs children. They moved it from the little school up to Missisquoi, and so the budgets went right out of way out of whack. And, but I think overall, I think people are suffering, maybe not as bad as they are in New York City or Los Angeles or something like that, but we kind of help each other here.
Yeah. Nicole, Swanton Town Village relations, are they where they should be? Are they as good as they should be? I know in the past, going back some years, I was always impressed that the village and town folks seem to be in sync pretty much. I'm not sure that's quite the situation these days. How good are village-town relations?
From somebody who deals with both entities on a regular basis, I feel that I have a very good working relationship with the village and the town. I'm very content that both are, for me, are very approachable, and they're always willing to help each other. So I think, there could be more conversation, as always, but I think, we're doing okay.
I know in the past there used to be, I don't know if it was quarterly meetings, but the select board and village trustees would meet once in a while. Has the pandemic kind of thrown that off? Have you not had joint meetings for a while? Realize you haven't been on the board that long?
We do have an informational meeting coming up,
Okay.
and I believe it's the 22nd of February, where we will be joining the village to talk about all things Swanton.
Okay, and again, town meeting day, of course, Tuesday, March 2nd.
Correct.
And voting that day, for people voting that day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Swanton Village Municipal Complex.
Yes, sir.
One other issue, and I'll let the other folks have a say on this too, the town garage, that's been out there for a while. Finally, I guess there's a tentative sale of the former town garage site by the elementary school?
Tentative, correct.
Tentative. Does that seem like, are you happy with, does that seem like a good deal to you at this point? I'm hearing there's some folks would have ideally liked to have seen that. What is a parking lot for the rec trail that goes right by it, of course, which wouldn't do anything for the town tax revenue-wise, but you see this as a good sale if it goes through?
I think it has the potential to be a good sale, but I'm not really at liberty to talk about it more.
Okay.
I do know that it has become an agenda item for our next meeting, so
Okay.
anybody that would like more information to tune in to our next meeting to have a more in-depth conversation with the board.
Okay, very good. Frank, any feel for town-village relations? Are they as good as they should be, or is that kind of hard as kind of an outside?
Kind of as an outside observer,
Yeah.
I think that there's a good relationship between the town and the village.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything to the contrary, and I haven't really read anything in the newspapers to the contrary, unlike some of the towns around. But
Yeah.
no, I see, I know people in both, and they all seem to get along and work well
Yeah.
together. I know there is some talk about the town and the village joining into one, but I don't know the details
In
of
fact, I
that.
almost asked that question. I feel like I'm the only one. I'll ask the village people once in a while about a possible merger, and they say, Richard, you're the only person who ever asks us about that. Do you hear any talk about that? Some folks who would like to see that?
A couple people talk about it on the discussion group.
Couple people.
I don't know the merits, to be efficient, it seems it's better just to have one than two.
Yeah.
But then again, there's pros to having twos.
Yeah.
So need to get more informed on that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I haven't heard a lot of talk about anything like that happening, only
Right.
very seldom.
Right. On the town garage, for prospective town garage sales, I mean, anything to you, any comment on that?
No, I
Okay.
haven't. I knew it was for sale. I didn't hear that it was
Okay.
in the process of actually being
Okay.
sold.
Nicole, back to you for a second, just on the merger. Again, is that just me? Does anybody ever talk about looking into a possible merger between the village and town, or that subject just doesn't come up?
Amongst the community, there is definitely a discussion going.
Yeah.
As far as the municipalities having the discussion, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
I do know at one point in time in the past, there was a merger study done, but I have yet to fully complete that to give you an assessment of
Yeah.
how I feel.
But nothing that's come up before the select board while you've been on it?
Not on my time, no.
Okay. Harold, again, village-town relations, are they as good as they should be?
I think that they're in fairly good shape, yes. Like I said, serving many years involved with the town, I can remember when they didn't even like each other. And through the years, we've got where we could share stuff. When I was the road foreman at that time, we could share equipment. And it was pretty much, as long as it wasn't costing the town or the village, we didn't have to ask our peers. If the village needed the excavator, they could use the excavator. If we needed their vac truck to vac out a culvert or something, they would send a guy out to do it or flush a culvert for us. So
Yeah.
it was a good working relationship.
Yeah. Town garage, the possible sale of that, does that mean much to you? Any reaction to that? Realizing it's not a done deal at this point?
No, it's not a done deal. It's been in the works for quite a while. It was
Certainly been for sale for a number of years at this
number of
point.
years, and I think the price tag at the beginning was a little high, but I can remember it, the best option for it was to let the school have it at a price, because grant you with the pandemic, the parents don't go there, but you go there now. I drive up on Route 7, and the people go to pick up their kids. They're parked all the way down to Bushy Street on the sides of the road. And the parents used to be able to go and have Thanksgiving dinner with their children. They could go and have Christmas dinner to do the Christmas pageant. And that lot was full of cars for the overflow, because that was the only place to put them. And selling it for what they're selling it for, I'm a little skeptical over that, but I'm totally not against it. But I still would have liked to seen the school have it.
Okay. And again, you hear anybody talk possible merger to you, or is that not an issue that comes up?
It hasn't been, nobody's talked merger to me. Nicole says, in the community, it's been talked about for years. And when they did the study on it, the drawback on it, I believe, and this is, like I said, just trying to remember, was the debt that the village had on the electric department for the dam and stuff like that. That was one of the drawbacks on it. But personally, I'd love to see the two merge, because I think that nobody would lose a job. Everything would be the same. The electric department itself could actually be by itself. The electric department and the water and sewer. But the rest of it, they could join and share. Nobody would lose a job, because you need people to do the village, you need people to do the town. So everybody could really work together, and I think that the fire department works great. Rescue works great. Now I don't know how many hours now, Nicole, that you guys have the police department, but we used to have them, 56 hours? And I think it would be a great thing to have them together, and instead of a 5-man board and a 3-man board, you could have a 9-man board.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future with that, but it sounds like an issue that's not going to go away. We're a little over halfway through the show. I mentioned off here, Nicole, any question you'd like to ask one of your opponents, either Frank or Harold, any question? And if you don't want to do that, that's fine, but any question for one of your opponents?
I'd love to ask them both, actually. I mean,
Okay.
what do they see as the future of Swanton?
Frank, you want to take a stab at that concisely? If you can do it concisely, big question.
I'd like to see Swan continue to prosper, offer opportunities, and have a good school system that attracts families, young families to the town. It's difficult. The state of Vermont has a aged population, and I know when I try to find people to work, there's not as many as there used to be 30, 40 years ago. I like to see people enjoy the resources that are around the town and take advantage of that. We have a lot to offer, and like Carol was talking about the downtown, I think it would be good to see that revitalized and hopefully some type of business attracted to that area. And Marble Park a lot could be done with that. Swan has the potential to be even a better place to live than it is now, and I look forward to seeing that come in the future.
Harold,
Thank you, sir.
concisely as you can, anything you want to say about what you'd like to see about the future?
I kind of agree with Frank that, we have the lake, we have the river. And we've pushed that for years, the lake and the river. We've pretty much become a bedroom community, I believe, in everything. But for Swanton itself, I would really like to see the board and the economic development coordinator push to develop our southern district that we've got out where Tractor Supply is. We fought tooth and nail when I was on the select board to get that approved out there. I mean, some of the meetings that we had were knockdown dragouts to finally get it approved, and we finally got it approved as a district out there, and I would love to see that developed out there. It's right off the interstate. Our problem is in Swanton, and I'm sure Frank knows, Nicole, I'm sure you will learn this, is everything we got's wetland. Everything. And we're the largest community that has land in the land trust. And I mean, the largest area in the land trust. The downtown itself.
Not to mention the refuge, which, what, about 6,500 acres, I think?
No, it's over 8,000 acres.
Sorry, I'm way off. Over 8,000?
There's over 8,000 acres there. And,
Great place, by the way. but
It's a great place.
No tax dollars for, does the town get something from the refuge there, like a payment and whatever they call it?
Payment in lieu of taxes.
Payment in lieu of taxes?
Yes. They get, it's been a while, Richard, and I don't think they get anything. If it is so minimal.
Nicole, does the town get something from the refuge, from the feds? Do you know?
I can't say
Not
off
sure.
the top of my head without
But I'm sure if
reviewing
it's
my
anything, I'm
information.
sure it's not much, and maybe it's nothing.
It's peanuts if they do, yes.
Interesting. Frank, same offer. A question for either Nicole or Harold or both. Any question you want to pose?
Well, I learned a little bit tonight. Harold's got a long number of years in working in various positions and multiple positions in Swan, and I'd like to thank him for his service for all those years. And I really don't have any questions for him. Or Nicole. I'm still new to this and
Yep, that's fine.
and learning as I go.
That's fun. Harold, what about yourself? Any question for either Nicole or Frank?
No, I actually don't, and I want to thank them both for being very gracious, and it's great to be able to sit here and discuss stuff without, after watching for the last year, the political stuff that was happening on TV, it's great to sit down and we can walk out of here and still be friends. I consider myself friends to each and every one of you guys, people in here. And I want to thank Richard for inviting us all and let us sit here. We can discuss our opinions without being judgmental to each other. And And if I had to say, I'd wish each and every one of you luck on town meeting day. And if I'm not the lucky one of you are the lucky one, I would support whatever you do in the next year.
Very good. Nicole, boy, a huge controversy. I'm not sure this is village, town, or probably just community. The art wall, maybe the last thing you want to get into, but, and I don't mean to take too much time, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. That just seemed like a subject that got pretty crazy for a while, but is that likely to resurface, or do you think, was there any resolution or any quick comments about that, if you can make them?
Sure. At our last meeting, we were presented by SPAN, Swanton Public Art Network, and it's a group of community members that are working hard to try and put some guidelines in place to hopefully bring back the art walls. I think they've gone back and redeveloped their approach a little bit to make it so every artist has a fair chance to highlight their art if the art walls do come back, and more what art is acceptable for the community as far as public art goes. I personally think the art walls were a great addition. We had some really talented art up there throughout the years that I've seen them up, but I do think that it did get out of control at a period of time, and it's a good point for us to stop and reevaluate how we can move forward with public art, because I think art could be a very vital part to Swanton. We have a lot of really great artists.
So the hope, obviously, is it'll come back without the controversy that it seemed to generate last time around?
Hopefully, yes. But even though it was controversy, it was bringing awareness to Swanton, and it was bringing awareness that there's great art in Swanton, even though some people may have felt otherwise.
Yeah. Frank, again, as an observer, obviously, probably anybody in Swanton probably paid some attention to that subject. Any thoughts?
Pardon, I didn't get the last part.
Just on the art wall, any thoughts on the controversy? Obviously, sure you hope it doesn't come back like it was before, but any thoughts on that?
No, I enjoyed the the art walls immensely. I collect art, so I have a personal interest in art, and it's one of the great things that's new about Swanton. Its direction in attracting artists and letting them show their work. They got together at some points during the year and showed off their work, and it's always been enjoyable going to look at it. Much like Jeffersonville, Vermont's an old art community, and we go up there often.
Great museum there.
And
Nice
they
museum,
got the Bryant
Museum.
Gallery and other galleries, and it's
Gallery.
artists come from all over the world, the east, northeast, and paint up there, and I like to see the same in Swanton. And as it gets more publicity out and attracts more people with that interest, that's definitely a nice surprise thing happening for Swanton.
Yeah.
That was totally maybe not expected, but.
Yeah. Harold, again, art wall, a lot of controversy about it. Any thoughts on that?
I thought that the art walls were very, as you would drive by, well, what we're going to see today, I think there need to be rules put in that if an artist puts something up, it should be allowed to stay there at least a week maybe, or a time frame on it where somebody else can't come along and just paint over it because they don't like it. I would like to see that anything political stay off in the art walls. We're in an area right now where the political landscape is horrible, and if we can stay away from the political part of it and just enjoy the beauty of what the people, the artists put on there, I think it would be great. I can remember driving by the one on Route 7 by Johns Bridge. I had to ask, actually, I knew the lady that drawed it, or, made the drawing on it, what it was, and she says it's tire in the bottom of the river. To me, I couldn't quite figure out what it was, but I thought they were beautiful, the artwork, and we have some very talented artists in Swanton, and this is a way for us citizens to see what these people can do. And I'd like to see them come back, but there needs to be some rules and guidelines.
Okay. Nicole, I guess for a number of years, Swanton Village Police Department's been patrolling, covering Swanton Town. I know Franklin County Sheriff's Department, of course, about to resume its coverage after a number of years' absence in St. Albans Town. Are you happy with, as a select board, or at least speaking for yourself, happy with the coverage from Swanton Village PD? I'm just wondering if the Sheriff's Department might take a shot at that if the contract comes up, but how, you pretty content with Swanton Village PD's coverage in the town?
There's a lot of town to cover.
There is.
And it's a very small police department, and I think they're doing an okay job. But there's definitely, it's a really hard area for them to cover all at once. It would be nice to see, support from other agencies at times, and I know there is in case of emergency. But moving forward, I think there's definitely always room for improvements in that aspect.
And I assume if the Sheriff's Department took a shot at that, I can only assume the Select Board would, check out the offers and make a decision. Do you know when that contract's up by any chance?
I don't.
Okay. Frank, of course, you're a village person. Any thoughts on that or not?
Sometimes their presence in the village I would like to see their presence even more.
Yeah.
It seems like something, when I'm out walking the dog, something happens and there's nobody around, and then after everything quiets down, then police cruiser drives by. I just see that it doesn't seem to be a huge issue. If you need their help and call, they respond very well. They've been very good on several occasions with me. And again, I know there's a manpower issue and a lot of area to cover and a lot of administrative stuff to do. But in general, I'm pretty pleased with the village police department.
Yeah. Harold, how do you think the Swanton Village PD does covering the town?
But for the manpower they have, I think they do a great job because, like Frank said, they don't have a large department. Their overhead is expensive or whatever. But when we hired because I sat on the select board when we hired the Swanton PD, and their bid was within dollars of what the Franklin County Sheriff's bid was. And the other select board members and myself were saying, okay, we're one Swanton. This is a way to say we're one Swanton. We're taking the money out of our right-hand pocket and putting it into the left-hand pocket, but it's still staying in Swanton. It hires people from Swanton. A lot of them guys live in Swanton. Their vehicles are, maintained in Swanton. Their fuel is bought in Swanton. So as a member of that select board, we thought it was the best for the community and for the town of Swanton citizens to keep that money local. And I really encourage this future select board to really look at this is one Swanton. If we're ever going to be one Swanton and be united, we've got to start somewhere, and the police department, the fire department, and rescue is one of the places we start.
Right. Nicole, I think correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen the warning for town meeting day. I think nine issues or 9 money issues on it. Does that sound right or whatever? Was the select board unanimous well, let me ask you yourself, are you supporting all the articles on the warning? Anything you're not supporting?
I'm in support of everything.
Of everything. Was the select board unanimous on all those articles? Can you tell us?
trying to recall back, I
Yeah.
believe we were,
Think so.
yeah.
Nothing really out of the ordinary. I know we've got, general fund, highway fund, kind of, I guess, the usual items. Anything unusual on there? I'm not aware there is.
Everything, we really tried to keep everything, very, I'd say simple as a municipality can be.
Yeah.
We were very mindful to the pandemic and how it's hit community members, and we wanted to make sure that moving forward, that's where, we were mindful of the community.
Has the pandemic significantly hurt the town money-wise, budget-wise?
I don't have enough experience to
Yeah.
give you, I think, an accurate answer to that question.
Okay, fair enough. Being a select board member for a number of months, is it a tougher job or more complex job? Did you know what you were getting into?
This is the first time I've ever been in a public office like this, and there's a lot of information to learn, and I've really taken it on head on to learn as much as I could in the amount of time that I've been there. Is it difficult? Some days are more difficult than others. There are a lot of really important decisions to be made, and making sure, that I'm doing it to the best of my ability in the best interest of the taxpayer, is always where I am, so.
Frank, realizing you're not on the board at this point anyway, I think the select board's addressing the issues they need to. Anything you think they should be doing that they don't seem to be doing, or any thoughts?
No, I think Select Board is doing a great job, and I have a new appreciation of the board. In the past week, I've been reading up on the responsibility of board members and actually the history of how the boards came about. It's all very interesting, and I was really surprised by the amount of responsibility and detail that the Select Board, different issues that they handle. And it's a pretty good load and responsibility, and if I get elected, I'm looking forward to the challenge of getting involved with that.
Harold, again, you got a former longtime selectman here. You think the select board is dealing, I'm not sure you've seen the warning, but I think they're, dealing with the issues they need to be dealing. Any shortcomings that jump out at you or anything?
I think they're doing a good job. There's a tremendous amount of inexperience there. The longest board member that's there is got less than 6 years. The select board since 2015 has turned over 10 members.
Wow.
That people run for a 1 year or 2 year term and never come back. They just don't want to. And I don't know quite why, other than we had a couple guys that moved, and that's why they got done or whatever. But I mean, people were just plain falling by the wayside. From 2001 to I got off the board, we changed one board member in 12 years. And we didn't have challenges or anything. So, but overall, I think they're doing a good job. I'm not quite sure that some of the minutes that I've been reading, because I've been reading their minutes, that this is a year to spend $200,000 on a truck when people are in need, or buying a sweeper or a sidewalk plow. I think that the select board really needs to think long and hard that this money might be better used somewhere else and hang on to it. Other than that, overall, I think they're doing a fairly good job, but you got to look at the long term. Like you said, I've been on there a long time. Is when I got on the board, we built a new town garage, we built a salt shed, we bought an excavator, we bought a payloader, we bought a new 3 tandem dump trucks in the 12 years I was on there, and we never once had to raise the taxes because we figured out a way to do it without raising taxes on the people. And the select board really needs to think long and hard that people out there, and we're an older community, And I myself, and I don't know about you, Frank, but I'm about ready to, I'll be retiring this spring. And I'll turn 70, so I'll be drawing my Social Security. So, we're on fixed incomes. And, you got to look out for the people on fixed incomes. And I think that the board needs to think long and hard before you make big purchases, how you're going to fund them without, putting a burden onto the older generation that we have.
Nicole, any reaction to Harold's comments?
It's something I'm always mindful for. It's not just the aging population, but some of the newer, younger families in town are also on fixed incomes. Most everyone that I've encountered, not everybody, but a lot of the people are commuters, and they're working outside of the community, so, that's an added expense for them. Finding ways to drive economy and stuff like that will help us be able to maintain, a good tax rate for both people in your situation and the younger families. And me personally, that's something I'm always very mindful of.
And maybe can I give you a little more time? We're down to 3 minutes. Give you a little more time maybe to expand that and make your case for election. Give you another half minute or so if you want it.
Thank you, sir. I'm really passionate about Swanton. I see a lot of really great opportunities moving forward. As some of the older ways move out, I think there's room for expanded recreation as far as tourism, and I think that there is great opportunity to boost those. The Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is coming into our area, which has the potential to bring a lot of great people into the community. And I want to work hard to move Swanton in a forward direction. So, thank you.
Very good. Frank, give you about 30, 45 seconds. Make your case.
Well, I'm wanted to create an environment of communication and understanding among all the members and the town officials. I think Swanton is a great place, and I think it'll only get better in time. There's so many things that offer potential to for the town, and I just want to get involved and do my best to make things happen.
Very good. Harold, I'll give you the last word. I'll give you about 30, 45 seconds. Make your case.
And I myself, like I said, I'm set on many boards, but I look forward to serving the taxpayers of the town of Swanton again. And my years on the board, I was always known as the tightwad, or the one that held the purse strings, because I wanted $1.10 out of every dollar that the taxpayers gave me. And you have to look forward to how you can get the most out of everything that's being given you, and treat it as a business, and treat everybody, that's every citizen that comes into that door or that you meet, because they're the shareholders. We're a business, and they're the shareholders, and they tell us what to do and how we're going to do it, and I think that we need to continue that.
Very good. With that, we'll call it a day. Again, town meeting day not far away, Tuesday, March 2nd. And again, a lot going on in Swanton. Number of items on the warning, of course. And again, no fewer than 4 contested seats for the select board. And again, the candidates here, I really appreciate the time of all you folks making time. And Nicole Draper, an incumbent on the board, running for a 1-year term. Frank Shumway and Harold Garrett. Appreciate the time, and good luck to you folks. And again, thanks to producer Roger Lindell out there for doing all the hard work. Thanks for watching us on Northwest Access TV. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See ya.